Tanks deployed in China against protesters, and the corporate-controlled media is silent. More on that in Kristi Leigh's Daily Brief. Plus, is President Biden more loyal to Ukraine than helping everyday Americans? Turns out no matter how much we're told safe and secure, most of us have doubts about election integrity. And a gay marriage law gets bipartisan support. Starting today with China using riot cops on citizens, China is vowing to crack down on protesters, according to the New York Post. It's been the largest show of dissent since the bloody massacre of Tiananmen Square 3 decades ago. Protesters are fed up with irrational lockdowns, rounding up citizens to go to inhumane quarantine camps, and the blatant disregard for safety that killed up to 40 in an apartment fire. Cops fully decked out in hazmat suits and holding clear shields were filmed marching toward the protesters. And now, tanks roll in. Apple is complicit with the Chinese Communist Party, turning off communication capabilities for the protesters. And the MSM remains largely silent while the White House dodges questions.
Two quick questions, one on China and then on Ukraine. I'm wondering, what is the president's reaction when he hears protesters in China chant freedom or Xi Jinping step down?
The president's not going to speak for protesters around the world. They're speaking for themselves.
Won't speak for protesters in China, but will send an endless supply of money and weapons to Ukraine. The Biden administration is pledging an additional $53 million to Ukraine, according to Fox News. It says it's to bolster Ukraine's power grid after Vladimir Putin's forces targeted Ukraine's power stations. The U.S. has now sent a total of $20 billion in military aid to Ukraine since February. The administration is already struggling to track down where all of that money went. A group of House Republicans has introduced legislation to audit those funds, according to the Daily Caller. And what about all the weapons sent? CNN Politics. What happens to weapons sent to Ukraine? The U.S. doesn't really know. It says it's a conscious risk the Biden administration is willing to take. The weapons might be sold through encrypted messaging apps, according to Breitbart. A Canadian NGO has warned they might even be being sold on the international black market. Kind of weird that someone who hates us having weapons so much.
The idea we still allow semi-automatic weapons to be purchased is sick. It's just sick. It has no social redeeming value. Zero, none.
He's not concerned where they end up outside of the U.S. Gaslighting is Merriam-Webster's word of the year, and as much as we are told elections are safe and secure, most Americans are simply not buying it. Many of the midterm elections took days or even weeks to count. And that's when Americans trust elections the least, according to a new poll. Trust in the election process is decreasing. The Hill, 1/3 of Americans believe Biden won because of voter fraud, according to a poll. While The Guardian cites a poll that more than 40% in the U.S. do not believe Biden legitimately won the election. That number, 40%, held up just before the midterms, according to Newsweek. It rises to more than 60% of Republicans who don't have faith Biden won fair and square. The Senate has passed a vote to make same-sex marriage federal law. 12 Republicans joining all Democrats to send the bill back to the House, according to the Daily Mail. 3 Republican-led amendments to the bill all failed before the final vote. The amendments were intended to protect religious liberty, prevent the federal government from retaliating against anyone for adhering to sincerely held religious beliefs and moral convictions about marriage. The bill is now expected to pass quickly in the House and head to President Joe Biden's desk for his signature. Today's takeaways: the CCP is increasing aggression toward protesters while the media and our leadership largely ignore what's going on. What happened to silence is violence. More money is being sent to Ukraine before we have even accounted for what happened to the billions already sent. Gaslighting about election integrity is not working, and a gay marriage law is moving forward. Never mind religious liberty. To learn more, be sure to go to AmericanFaith.com and subscribe to our daily newsletter. For American Faith, news you can trust. I'm Kristi Leigh.